Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to Thelma's podcast. Let me start again. Hello everyone. Welcome to Thelma's podcast. I am Thelma Just a Brito. Right, so thank you again, everyone that came yesterday. Yes, it was a little bit tricky because my guests couldn't really figure out how to go online. He was from America. So today I have another person from America, and he is going to tell us more about the thing that he does. Yeah. So he is the father of a girl who is an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is somebody, for those young people that don't know what it is, that, they set up their own businesses and they are well known in the community for what they do. And really, entrepreneurs are like role models. Yeah. So I spoke to this lovely gentleman, let's say since 2014, 2015. I am really not sure. All I can say is that I'm excited because he also does a lot of things himself. Let me see. Okay. He does a lot of things himself. Him and his wife, so themselves, they do a lot of things, which I think was great for their daughter to follow suit and start her own businesses. So it's a family, I think they live in Florida. So it's a family that are known in the community. Yes, so I am going to wait when this person is all nice set up. And then, yeah. And thank you and welcome for those who just joined. Okay. That's lovely. Okay, so I'm waiting for my guests to come. I hope all of you are enjoying, your day so far. If you guys live in London, the weather has been really, really mad lately. It's been really hot, and I feel like sometimes we can never be happy because when it rains, when it's cold, we complain. When it's hot, we complain as well. But anyway, I'm waiting patiently for my guests. Yeah. It's so nice to see you guys. Sorry. So yeah. Oh, lovely. Let me see. Yes. Hello. Hello, hello. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Let me see if I
I'm
turn this. I want to see if I turn this, if we can get this,
oh
if you can get,
I don't
no?
think that works.
Does it work? No?
Don't worry, like that is perfect. I want to see you guys a bit more closer together, so that's it. Can you guys
Uh,
see me? Can you hear me okay?
yeah, we can hear you. How about you? Can you hear us
We
clearly?
I can hear you. I just want to be sure that we can see both of you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, to be a bit more closer, sir. That's lovely. Hello and welcome. So if you introduce yourselves quickly for us.
Well, I'm Fabia Moxey.
My name is Vernon Moxey, and we are the parents of Taylor Moxey.
Okay, so welcome. Thank you. So what's the time in Florida right now?
Right now, it is 1:30 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
In London, it's 6:30 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Is the sun down
honestly.
yet?
Sorry?
Is the sun down? No?
It's getting down, but I was saying to people here, it's been crazy. The weather's been so hot, and we are not used to this. The British, we are used to the rain, to the grey, and yeah, we can't wait for winter. If it makes sense. Sorry. So I wanted to say, honestly, I'm so happy that I can finally talk to you too because I spoke to your lovely husband the other day. I've been, I think, in contact since 2015, 2014. I'm not sure because of the article I read about your daughter, but it looks like it's not just her is doing well for herself, but you guys as well. So can you tell us both of you, what do you do for yourselves? What do you
I'll
guys do?
let Mom tell you.
well, I mean, as far as me, I'm actually a nuclear pharmacist by trade. Um, I write music. I have a book. and, you know, we just raised Taylor and getting her, you know, to the space that she needs to be in for her professional career, working the foundation, working her business. So that's pretty much what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Amazing. And you, sir?
She's the brains behind the whole operation.
Listen, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. You write, you're into music, and you're working. I mean, how do you fit all of this? Explain to us.
I mean, sleep for me is, you know, whenever I can get my sleep in, I get sleep. So I usually sleep about an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time, depending on what's going on for the day. Some days I get more sleep than others, but where I work, I have a lot of flexibility. I get to rest at work sometimes, so I just kind of rest when I can, and you know, get those power naps and keep it moving. So that's kind of how I get through my day. You know, for me, writing for me is therapeutic. I also work out, so working out and writing is therapeutic for me. So that's not really a strain for me. So when I get to do that, that's it's pleasant for me.
She has 28 hours in her day.
28 hours. So before we carry on, what about you, sir? Can you tell us again, what is it that you do?
By trade, I'm an etiquette consultant. I have an etiquette consulting firm. I also work with one of the oldest fashion brands in the U.S. is with Brooks Brothers. So I do consulting. I work with Brooks Brothers. I'm also the vice president for the Taylor Moxey Foundation. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a whatever else is needed in the moment also. And I run a Instagram social media page. It's called the Prep Style Journal podcast. So I podcast also. So we have long hours in our days, but we make it work.
I can see. I just saw your page today. I was like, look at this. He also does that as well. So all of this that you do is that the reason why Taylor picked up from your skills? You say, okay, my parents do this. I'm gonna do this as well. Or how did it start it for Taylor and for you guys as well?
I think it's just the culture of the household. Like, you know, from the beginning, we always, you know, told everyone Taylor's business started out just from a life lesson.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to teach her about the value of money and, you know, what money means. And that turned into a business. We didn't know that when she got the money, she was going to buy business cards. Like, we didn't even know that.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, I guess.
A natural progression.
Yeah, I guess it's just in the genetics. I don't know. But, it just grew from there, and she sees how we move in the household as her parents, and I guess it's just, you know, you just follow suit. So
yeah. No, I mean, she's so talented. I mean, you as a mom, I mean, look at all of these things that you do. Obviously she's gonna pick up on that. She's just gonna lie down and say, oh, you know what, you work and pay the bills, I'm just gonna lie down, everything is sorted. And, so that's really amazing. I mean, tell us a venture, where did that letter to? Because apparently Obama wrote to her once, and what else did she do?
President George Bush also.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And she also has her own foundation where there's a library or something like that. I mean, tell us more about all these activities that came from her selling cakes. Well, tell us. I'm speechless. She's only
Taylor's library started again, it was all a natural progression. So when she started making money from her business, we always encouraged Taylor. There's an old saying with much responsibility. With much success comes much responsibility. And we always encourage Taylor to always give back. We think that's important. It's easy when people can see what you have, but when you can say, well, let me help you along, because you may, you know, your path may not be as easy as mine, or, you know, or as it's perceived as easy. It's important to give back. It was a natural progression. Her foundation started, for one, she was given money away before she had a foundation. That was one. And then we started, I think the first act was Techo. It was a organization that builds homes for children in Latin America and Haiti. Yeah. And so I remember we gave the first donation there. That was the first big one we gave. And it started growing. I mean, we open libraries using recycled shipping containers, and we place them in areas that are called book deserts, which are areas that people have the ability to get books from a distance, but they don't have the means or the know-how to get it. So we would actually place the libraries in these communities. And these are recycled, they're self-manned libraries. We just recently, during the pandemic, we built a library on a remote island off the coast of Haiti. It's in the Haiti archipelago, but it's an island called Ilavash. That was the foundation's first brick and mortar library. That started out, I mean, it's documented on the Instagram page. From the first day that they started chopping the grass to the final brick to the roof, everything. And it's all been a labor of love. But spearheading this was always with Taylor to give back, to show the importance of actually, we say paying it forward now, but it's actually giving back. Because in her case, you know, she still has a lot. She still does a lot of public speaking, so it's good to help others also.
So she's when you speak, there's a word for that. I forgot the word. When you speak for events for the people, is a speech speaker? No, how do you say? But person, I forgot the word.
She's an entrepreneur, author, and philanthropist. And she's also they call them public speakers here. I don't know if the word.
Yeah, public speaker. So all of this by the age of how old? 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, she started when she was 7. She's 17 now.
Yeah, she wrote her first book at 10.
Listen, I wish she was there, but one day we're gonna get to see her. So you guys help her with all of this thing that she's doing, or she's got a team of people that help? I mean, how does she do that?
We have a team initially. It was us, you know. So, you know, in our household, the word "can't" is not allowed. It's called the C word.
Yeah.
So, you know, anything that she wants to do or she brings up, like, oh, I would love to try this. You know, for us as parents, we feel like it's our job to facilitate that and to help her, you know, with that process. You know, they're kids, so there are certain things that they're going to need adults to help them with, you know, and we're okay with that. We always tell people that see our stories, who tell a story, they're like, oh, I want that for my kids. And I'm like, that's great, but be prepared for the work. You know, I always tell people I have 2 jobs. You know, I work, you know, my job, and then I work business, because it is a full-time job. And it's actually 3 jobs, because raising a child is a full-time job.
Exactly. You can't forget
actually,
that.
It's 4 jobs, because raising a household is another job.
Yes. You do
like
all
4 jobs.
Everything.
Yes.
I'm gonna say as well, I'm gonna come to you now, Mom. I like that you write the book that you've written is straightforward. Pick up a pen and a paper and write. I think that's the title. Why did you write this? Why did you write that?
When or why?
Why?
Well, for me, I've always written. I've been writing since my my 4th year in college. And what happened, I remember I was studying organic chemistry. I was in my apartment and I was listening to Erykah Badu. And Erykah Badu had a huge influence on me for writing, because at the time she was big and I loved the imagery and everything. And I was drawn to her. And I put my organic chemistry book down. I was like, I'm going to start writing. At that moment, I was like, I'm going to start writing. When I first started, my writing was horrible. It was horrible because I was trying to be Erykah Badu. I had to find my space. Yeah. And that book came about because, you know, there was different things that I wanted to express, and I've always said I want to write a book, but I didn't know how I wanted to write. I didn't know if I wanted to do a book of poetry. I didn't know if I wanted to write about autobiography, you know, and that's just life in general. People always, they want to do something, but they have all this stuff in their head. Oh, well, what am I going to do? Or how am I going to do it? So that book came from me just basically saying, you know what, I'm going to allow this book to happen as I'm writing it, and it's going to happen. And everyone went through that whole process with me as I wrote that book. So the book is really for me, but it's also for other people that are able to see how simple it is to just start. Like, just start writing. You know, it may not be writing, just start, you know, basket weaving, just start, you know, selling cupcakes, just start something. Whatever it is that you say you want to do, just start it. And then as you start it, things will start to happen and your book will be written. So that's the whole concept of that book.
It's like a book of life.
Yeah.
The
I
book of
love it.
life.
Yes, I love it because I remember I spoke to your husband about this book. I'm like, this is not like your usual book where there's a story. This is like pick up, like get on with things.
Right.
Just don't wait. And I love that. I love that approach.
Yeah.
And you, sir, you're doing a podcast. What is the podcast about? You
Well,
mentioned the podcast, yeah.
I'll tell you the podcast. I'll tell you a quick story before I tell you about my podcast.
Yes, please.
From her book, Pick Up the Paper, Pick Up the Pencil and Write. I have to say it in like this poetry form. So I didn't know Fabia was writing this book. None of us knew this book was a covert operation. We found out. I have to admit, I just learned to swim a couple of years ago, right? And we were in Thailand on holiday, and I almost had a drowning accident again for the second time, right? You would think after the first time.
You said that it's funny, but you nearly drowned.
You would think after the first time I would have gotten some help, but my personality is that I know how to I can wish things away. But anyway, so so we're flying home and Fabia on the plane. This is I think like an 18-hour plane ride.
It's long.
It's a long ride.
Wow.
And Fabia tells me, leans over and says, I wrote a book. I said, when did you write a book? She's like, no, I said, I think you're writing a book? She said, no, I wrote a book. It's at the printers. I said, when did you write this book? So she said, oh, I've been working on it for a while. I just didn't want anybody to influence or distract the flow of the book. So here's the book. So she let me read a hard copy, a rough draft of it, right? And the book I'm thinking this book is actually speaking to me personally. Like, get your stuff together, right? So
maybe we don't know.
Oh yeah, but it's literally pick up like just get on with it. Enough with all the talking, procrastination. Get on with it. When we got back to Miami, I think about a few hours later, there was a gym, a YMCA, not too far from our house. I left there. In my head, I was thinking, this book is talking to me. I actually left and went and signed up for swimming classes that day because it was to say, I have no excuse. Like, if you want it, go do it. And that class helped me big time. It actually helped me even with my podcast. It was, I have a passion for, I would say a passion for fashion. It sounds so cliche, but my joy and my passion is etiquette and styling. And so and I wanted a space that I could talk about this to other people. I got to interview the CEO of Ivy Style last Sunday. This was like a huge deal, like someone you see and you just admire from a distance. But to actually get the podcast started, it came right back to Fabia's book. It was just like, okay, like, so what do you need? And I thought I needed all these different platforms to, a perfect scenarios to do it. And it was just like you're doing. He's like, start an Instagram live if you want to interview, do an Instagram live and get it done. And sure enough, that's what I did.
That's amazing. I have to say, your wife's book as well, I thought about it. I was like, I've got all these ideas. I don't know all these people. What am I waiting for? So I started, I'm not gonna lie, 2 weeks ago I started. People think I've done this for ages. I have a long history of filmmaking with me.
Mm-hmm.
Things didn't work out along the way. But what I like about your wife's book, again, is just, there's no excuse. If a door closed, find another door. If you're another door closed, build your own door. There's no. So I love this book. Is it available on Amazon, your book? Can we buy it on Amazon?
Yeah, you can buy it on my website. You can buy it on Amazon. I'm actually going to be working on an ebook because I have a lot of people that have been requesting an ebook. So that's the next project I'm going to be working on.
Please do. I've got students that I'm sure they need something like that. Because this podcast is really for my students, for them to get inspired. And as I said to Vernon, the two of you as parents are so inspiring. The way your philosophy and everything that you're teaching your daughter, I feel like you can teach so many people. But as Vernon said, your job is just your family, and I agree. But hopefully them looking at this, they'll be like, oh my days, these parents are amazing. The daughter's amazing. So let us know. I mean, the podcasts, give me all the details so that I can post it on my Instagram. Yeah, please do.
I'll tell you, I think I may have worded that wrong. Our priority is our family first. but our goal to help people, you know, it's just a natural for my wife, is, you know, just a natural thing for her to operate in her gift. But our priority, our first priority is our family. There's an old saying they say, and I'm from the island, so we always say, clean your house before you tell someone else's how dirty their house
That's
is.
true.
So, oh, it's sort of like the thing to say, you know, make sure what you're trying to tell somebody else, make sure that you apply it in your home first. I think that's the first responsibility. I think that's how it should be, the first responsibility. You know, that's in parenting too. As much as we enjoy helping and telling other parents, we're very open to give information when asked. We tend not to offer unsolicited information because some people, you know, even if your intentions are good, some people can be a bit turned off by it. But and I think our intentions and our actions speak for themselves. But you know, it's what it is. But you know, even in that, our priority is still first to our daughter.
Yes, I can see. So, and also you guys like to travel. I've seen that you've been to some places. You've been to France, is that correct? You've been to, what other place in Europe did you go?
We went to Madrid, Barcelona, Nice, Paris, Cannes, Amsterdam. Where else have we been to? Thailand. We've been to Cuba.
And then COVID hit.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah, sorry. Anytime you're gonna come to England, maybe one day? Is that something you're thinking about one day?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Taylor's actually getting ready for school now, the next phase, college. So we're doing applications and stuff like that. So yeah, we definitely will be taking a trip.
What is it, Rumford? Rumford?
Rambert.
Rambert, I think. It's a training program in the UK.
Okay, yeah.
That's one.
Anything
That's on the list,
yeah, please let me know whenever you guys are around. Let me know. And the final thing before I leave you guys. So, a quick advice for young people to get themselves started when they leave secondary school. You know, because I think for you guys it's high school. So, what is after high school again? I forgot. Is it you going
college?
College?
Yeah,
Okay.
after high school is college or university.
Okay,
So
so
college
when you
is high school for you, for them. So it's university for us.
Yeah.
So when you leave high school, yes, all these kids must be worried. So what would be your advice for them to face the future, what they want to do? What would be your advice for them?
I would let Fabia. Fabia has an interesting story. I don't know if you want to share it.
Please share it.
The story from the first grade. I tell people this a lot.
Please share it.
She's like, which one? She's like, which one? But I think your students would really benefit from my wife's story. Fabia's not a bragger, so I'm the official bragger for my family. But it's not bragging if it's true. But you know, my wife has accomplished a lot. My wife is the title doctor in nuclear pharmacist, among other things. That's a short list of people who's accomplished that in our country, and she's accomplished it with grace. I believe in giving her. But you know what's interesting is that a lot of people would see doctor and they'll see author, they'll see public speaker, they'll see you know, training coach, they'll see fitness enthusiast, all these things they'll see behind her. But there's a backstory. It feels weird telling it right here. But there's a backstory that my wife, when she came up, it's inspiring, I think, for every young person. I think they should hear. I'm gonna let her tell it really quick to you.
Well, so me growing up in school, you know, I started out elementary school or grade school. I don't know what it's called. Primary school.
Primary school.
And I was in a particular school, and I was getting straight A's, right? So at this particular school, I was doing well according to them, and my parents relocated. We moved, and because we moved to a different school. And I'm going to the school, and the teachers called my parents like, your daughter is so far behind. Like, we're going to have to put her in remedial classes. Like, and they were like, wait, she's a straight A student.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, she doesn't know anything. Like, I was in the first grade. It's like, she doesn't know. She's behind so far. Like,
they called you illiterate.
Yeah, like she's almost like illiterate. So my mom was like, done. Like, I don't understand. So I had this teacher, Mr. Garcia, was my first grade teacher. And he decided, like, I'll work with her, but it's going to be a lot of work. And it's going to take the parents, you guys, to really work with me to get her back up to speed. So fast forward, I'm working, I'm doing all the extra work. I'm staying after school. He's giving me extra work. My parents are helping me. It was a really tedious process. But I caught up with all the kids, stayed on track, went to high school. My first year in high school, I get to 9th grade algebra and I'm like completely lost, like letters and numbers. I'm like, what is this? Why are there letters with numbers? So I ran into another obstacle, and I had a teacher, Miss Hall, who actually taught my dad because I went to the same high school as my parents. She actually taught my dad in high school. And I remember after class, I would, tell her, like, I'm really having a hard time, with this subject matter. So I would stay after class. She would give me extra work, finally caught up. So moving forward, like, I was able to kind of like get myself back on point with math and, just schoolwork and everything. But I always tell people, like, I didn't have it where I was just this complete genius from the beginning, and if you work hard at anything, like I always tell Taylor, and I tell people in general, I don't believe there's nothing I can figure out just based on my experiences. Like, I was considered, I was considered illiterate, and I was able to catch up to the other kids. It was a lot of work, but it was achievable. So I always tell kids and tell people, just adults in general, because people always talk about kids, but I'm like, kids are human. So if you just talk about just people in general, if you want something and you struggle with something, don't be discouraged. If you start something and you're not doing well in it, or you feel like I'm not up to par with everyone else, that's okay. That's their journey. And I always tell Vernon, like, people compare their first year with someone's 15th year, and that's not fair to you. No. They've been doing it for 15 years, so they should be an expert at it. You shouldn't expect yourself to be an expert at something that you just started. So I know for me, it's like, that's one of the biggest things I try to tell young people and just people in general. If it's something that you truly want to do, don't get discouraged if you fall. That's a part of the process. I always tell Vernon, no baby has ever, that I know of in the history of life, started crawling, got up, fell, started crawling, got up, fell, and said, walking is not for me, I'm never walking. Never heard of a person saying that. They just keep going until one day, they're like, oh, they're walking. And if we have that type of mentality where we keep falling, just keep getting up, eventually you will walk, you will get it. And I think if people have that mentality, I think just across the board, people will fulfill their dreams beyond comprehension. Like, so many people will fulfill their dreams, but I think people are afraid to step out and do that because they're afraid of failure. But failure, I don't even call it failure. It's more like an obstacle, because you don't fail until you stop. When you stop and quit, that's when you fail. But if you're still trying to get it and you're still going, you haven't failed yet. You're just learning. Yeah. So that's something I would tell, everyone.
So setbacks is part of progress, so it's obstacle that you have to overcome eventually. Yeah, that's amazing.
Part of it.
Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, it happened to me, it happened to everyone, and it will happen to people. And I'm sure, when you talk about obstacle, apart from that, anything else that you managed to overcome, apart from that in primary school, anything else that you managed to overcome and taught Taylor valuable lessons?
Can I jump in? I'll tell you something. First of all, I think you're accomplishing something so amazing, because you have one of the top interior designers in the United States, Tom, logged on to the show. So I just want to tell you that you're doing something pretty cool, because Tom is logged on. I'll tell you a quick story that when we were in high school, Fabia, there's this thing called the SATs, a standardized test, right? And it's supposedly a barometer for your level of intelligence. We know now that it's not. It's almost like someone in a Jeopardy show. Like, Jeopardy isn't really a matter of intelligence, it's a matter of you being able to understand a lot of stuff. So Fabia scored on the test. We always joking, can I say the number?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she said, yeah. I remember telling you last week, I said, we can tell these stories now that we're on the other side of it. But Fabia always said, no one likes to talk about the middle passage of it. So on the SAT, they give you 400 points just for spelling your name right. Okay.
I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but that's what we were told. But Fabia scored a 710 on the SAT. Okay. Yeah. I took the SAT, and let's just say that if you were looking at grades, the intellectual level between my wife and I, it's a big difference. And so I scored, I think 714. It was something, I think either right beneath or right with it. And I remember thinking when I got my SAT back and she told me, I was like, maybe I'm not doing so bad in life, right? But there was this young lady in our high school that I don't know if she was at the top of our class or number 2 in the class, but there was this grandiose aspiration to say, I'm going to do this, and that. And I'll never forget that, and some people are good test takers and some people aren't. And I remember when Fabia and her got to college, was it basic math, basic college math?
Yeah, basic math.
Basic math that Fabia ended up tutoring this same person that was at the top of our class. And
it wasn't even so much the top of the class. It was more like her SAT scores were way, way higher than mine. She had like 1,300. I think the highest is a 1,600. Okay. So it was really, she rubbed it in our face, which was fine. It's like, we're in high school. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But it just shows you, like, and I always tell people with standardized tests, like, even with that, like, don't get discouraged, because that's not really a barometer of how smart you are. That's just a test to see how much you've been exposed to, what just different things. You can't really study for the test.
Right.
And it was confirmed for me when I went to college and I had the lowest score, between her and I, and she couldn't do basic math, and I ended up tutoring her, which was crazy. It's like, it really opened my eyes, like, wow, like, why do we even take that test?
Listen, so, yeah. No offense, math was never my subject. All I know, I passed it, I'm done with it. But well done you. Honestly, all these achievements, you guys must be really proud of yourselves. And I'm sure Taylor must be proud of you guys as parents. Yeah. That's amazing. So
she tells us every once in a while she's proud of us.
Once in a while. She should tell you every day. So quickly before we leave, so what is the perfect answer for people to say, okay, we want to do what Taylor or you guys are doing? What would be your answer for that?
I would just say, listen to what your kids want to do. Don't try to force them into something that you want to do. If they have a passion, we have a friend of ours, his kids are obsessed with video games. And I told him, well, nurture that, You know how many people get paid for designing video games and how much they pay? I was like, everything, you can monetize everything. So I said, if your kid has a passion for video games, then figure out how to monetize that. Figure out how to teach them the business side of it. Right. Figure out, because people see it like, oh, you're just wasting your life. Like, no, they're not. There's a market for that. So why not, market that particular passion for them to be able to monetize that. So I would say, listen to your kids, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. But I think the biggest thing is, when you're dealing with kids, if they know truly you have their back and you're listening to them, the mistakes that you make here and there, it's nothing compared to them knowing, I know my parents, they're going to look out for me, and whatever I want to do, they're going to invest in it, and they're going to push me, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and they don't try to push me into something that I don't want to do. So I would say that's the biggest thing I would tell parents.
Yes, lovely. Is that what you agree with as well with your wife, sir? Same thing?
Yeah, I would say, we have a saying, we say, turn your fun into funds.
Mm-hmm. And, yes. Turn your fun into funds. I love that.
Yeah, turn your fun into funds. And when you can take that idea, I mean, all of us are doing something that we enjoy, right? And the idea is being able to find a way to monetize of what it is you enjoy. That's what I would say. I would say to be the biggest cheerleader for your child. We live in an age now where, unkind things are the norm. And this society can be, it can be tough where they're constantly berating our kids and adults, but more children with what they're not. And so I would say, you know, if anything else, fill your cup, your child's cup to the brim, because you know societies are going to poke a hole in it. So at least if they're poking a hole in it, the liquid is at least filled to the top, so they won't be empty. So you know that's your approach we take. We're constantly, I mean, we don't hide Taylor's shortcomings from her, because those are areas all of us can work on. But we encourage her. We're Taylor's biggest fans, and you know, and we let her know that come whatever, your mom and I will always be the ones that be your biggest fans.
Yes, so to sum up, so be the best supporter of your children, no matter what they decide to do. That's a lovely advice. I want to say thank you so much for your time. I hope you spend the rest of your Sunday do something nice and relaxing, not working, because I think you guys work so hard. Just relax, okay? Before Monday, all right?
Yes.
And a big hello for me, and thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Thank you.